What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How is everybody doing this Saturday? Another Saturday, another show. We got a lot to talk about. It's been a roller coaster week, and we'll dive into it. We got a lot to cover. Shout out to everybody watching live. And shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Once again, hit the like button, subscribe if you have not already subscribed. A lot of information in the description. Follow the panel here. All of that information is in the description down below, man. We greatly appreciate everybody coming out, hanging out with us. Retweet the link. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live. We're talking gaming. We're going to hit these topics hard and then keep it pushing and finish our weekend out. But let's go ahead and just go around our panel here so you guys can see Stag is not here as of yet, but he will be shortly, hopefully. So shout out to Stag, man. Whatever's going on, bro. I know he wasn't feeling that well earlier, so hopefully everything is good with him. But let's just start with you, Pong. How you been, brother? What you been playing? I know this week's been crazy, but how you feeling, bro?
Yeah, it's been a long week. I've had better weeks. As some people know, my wife and I unfortunately had to say goodbye unexpectedly to our dog on Monday morning at 5 a.m. So that started my week off. So, yeah, I've had better weeks, but you know what? Nothing better than getting to the end of the week and getting down and dirty with some games and being able to talk to you guys and the chat about everything going on. So I've been keeping my mind busy. I've been playing some Torchlight 3 and some Call of Duty and a bunch of Halo and tried out a bunch of the new Game Pass games like Desperados 3. So, yeah, I've been keeping myself busy and trying to get my energy back. So it's Saturday night. We got a lot to talk about. So let's get down to it.
Let's get down to it. Once again, man, appreciate you, man. Newest member of the Shop Podcast, if you're new here. Newest member of the Shop Podcast. Shout out to you, Pong. Once again, great to have you as a member on the show, man. Let's get it popping. So Stag just dropped in the building. What up, Stag? I know you wasn't feeling well earlier, but man, how you been this week, brother?
I'm alive.
That's a damn good answer to the question. But outside of that, bro, anything going on? Anything new with the channel? Streaming?
No, nothing new. Just doing the stuff and things like I do Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Sorry, I'm a little low energy today, guys. So I'm just gonna push through, and we're gonna do the thing today.
So let's get it popping, man. Once again, we're gonna have to do a little bit extra today. So we're gonna have to pick up the energy for Stag a little bit, man. But appreciate you falling in today, man. Always love
hot garbage. It's always fun to wake up feeling sick in a pandemic and just spend the next few days going, is this it?
Oh, stop. Come on, man. We gotta be a little bit more positive than that, bro. But no, I understand. It is tough for a lot of people out there, man. But hopefully you're feeling well, and we can just keep this thing, moving. It. Go ahead and just keep going with the show, man. But Centurion, how you been, man? What's going on with you? How you feeling this week?
I'm doing great. No, I'm playing. I am joking. Oh my god. By the way, Pong, my condolences. I did not know that. I need to spend more time on social media, I guess.
Thank you, brother. No, I
really
appreciate that.
Oh man, I totally get where you're coming from on that situation. Anyways, I'm doing good. Outside of the realm of I guess working way too much. I guess I have the good fortune of being able to say I'm working too much. But other than that, the only thing I've really been doing is been able to play a little bit of Call of Duty here and there. Haven't done nothing too spectacular other than that. Oh, I did DM you guys. Somehow I found a Razer Kishi for like $50.
Nice.
Yeah, so I've been kind of like, I also got to play around a little bit with xCloud, and now that you actually have it docked in something and there's like no latency at all, it's actually really, really cool.
Nice. Well, once again, man, glad to have you here every single week. You add so much to the show. So once again, everybody, as you fall in and hit the like button, we appreciate it. It does help the channel be seen, help the podcast be seen. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Still Rain, I think it's Ivish, Pong, I see you lurking in there. Everybody just in the chat, hanging out. Just appreciate you guys' energy here on the show today. So last but not least, man, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, how you been, brother? How's the week going? What you been up to?
Yeah, it's been going good. Been just I don't know, participating in the the arguing on social media over the week or over Friday and stuff. And man, looking forward to getting into this show and talking about gaming and like what we all enjoyed doing our spare time.
Awesome.
Let's
awesome.
get it.
Let's get it. Let's dive in, man. Once again, hit the like button.
Hey,
Subscribe.
you know what? I'm just gonna throw the comment on there real quick. I thought all we did is on our spare time was bitch.
Too much.
Not true.
Already.
True.
Oh my
Already.
God, I had to just do
We're
it.
not doing that. We're not doing that. But let's go ahead and just keep it going, man. We started with the poll of the week. We're gonna start with the poll of the week like we do every week here on the Shop Podcast, man. If you're not following me on Twitter, that's where the poll of the week resides. Every Monday, then we talk about it here on the show. So let me go ahead and find that real quick. I do apologize, my unprepared ass. But it is right here. Bingo. So poll of the week was with recent. No, that is right. So with recent Indiana Jones games being announced by Bethesda, what other classic movies need a video game version? So I had technically four different options. You got Blade, we had John Wick, Matrix, and then other. So John Wick won 31%, Blade 30%, Matrix 28%. So we've been talking about this deal with Indiana Jones and maybe Lucasfilm, partnering with Xbox to do other games. So just what other game out of those, I guess three, or even if you have another option, Pong, would you see like a movie be translated into a game?
Well, all three of those were fantastic, by the way. So I chose other just because I wanted to think outside the box, and you said classic movies. So I'm, older, so I kind of went back through my head and tried to figure out what I'd like to see. And RoboCop.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
The original RoboCop, using the id engine, the ID engine, Doom style, with just going down and mauling people left and right. Man, that would be insane. I would love to see that. And RoboCop deserves another video game after all these years.
I didn't even think about RoboCop. I didn't even think about RoboCop. I don't know how hard. I don't know if that would connect. You know what I'm saying? Like, it will connect with us because we're a little bit older. We're a little long in the tooth, to be honest. But
they did have the remake. And it actually did well. So it's possible.
That's fair. But yep. I can ID Doom. That definitely works. I can see it. Matter of fact, if they just put a RoboCop skin on Doom guy, it's the same game. I mean, you got his name.
Yeah, you're right. So, kind of in a way.
Yeah.
Just replace the demons with bad guys, man.
Exactly. Exactly. So no, but great fucking idea. I didn't even think about that. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Stag. Not sure if you looked at or thought about the question much, but out of those options, just a movie game or other, or the different option, what would you like to see made?
It's kind of surprising John Wick won, to be honest with you, considering there is a John Wick game out now.
There is.
I mean, granted, it's not what everybody probably wants, but there technically is one. I really liked the Matrix game back in the day, but there hasn't been a Blade game since the PlayStation, so I actually voted for Blade. That's one of my favorite, like, vampire, I don't know, samurai hybrid style movies. I really like those movies, so I could go for that. But then you know what I feel like honestly deserves a remake more than any other game on the planet?
What?
Because it's the worst game ever. E.T.
That's a serious answer.
It's seriously funny.
An honest
I watched a documentary where they unburied some of that stuff out of a landfill.
I feel like, that would be like a great RPG.
Yeah.
Could they get away with it? I don't know. I get you're right. It could. I don't. It is iconic, but I don't know if that would. You think so?
Can we redo Superman 64 first?
Man.
Can we redo Superman 64 first? Can we do that?
That's Anthem.
I like the Superman game.
That's Anthem.
Yeah, that's Anthem, man.
That's Iron Man. That's not Superman.
Too much, but no, Stag. I don't want to hijack your
We're done.
There, buddy. You're good. Okay, my bad, bro. But no, ET's an interesting answer. I'm not.
I would love to play like a Blade action RPG. Like, I think that would be great. It really would fit the genre of action RPG well. So
third person, Stag.
Blade? That's how you play action RPGs, in my opinion.
Yeah,
so, granted, you can play them in first. I just think they play better in third.
Okay.
Yeah. You can see your character like cutting people up.
Good point. So I always, so yeah, the Blade. That's actually the option in my head as I was kind of going through picking movies. That's the option I actually picked in my head. So Blade would have been just because, like you said, I mean, we haven't had one in forever. It's a perfect kind of game. Just the art style and like the fighting sequences and the vampires. We don't get a ton of vampire games anyway. At least good ones we don't get. So it'd be nice to have an actually good one, maybe with like skill trees and all kind of different cool shit that you could do. So I think that's dope too. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion. Just get your opinion on where you at, man. What out of those choices or other, which one did you choose?
I did other, but I feel like now I'm probably going to get branded when I throw out my thing. I'm sorry. I wanted to use a franchise or actually a television show that, in my opinion, deserves a fair shot because it just the size of the universe that it represents, and that's Stargate.
That would be amazing.
Choose whether you want to be a human, a Jaffa, hell, even a Gould or any other kind of, like, the universe is infinite ideas. The fact that developers could expand this game over time, because technically you're gating to most of these planets. Most of the races of the galaxy are not going from planet to planet with spaceships. And that's where you could literally have an infinite number of possibilities, races, and all sorts of stuff from the franchise, and even build upon some of the stories that were even created in that franchise. Because, I mean, it's got a huge following, and there is people just frothing at the mouth for that franchise to be resurrected in some form or another.
That's definitely outside the box. I would have never thought Stargate. I'll be 100% honest with you. I would have never thought Stargate. That's a very...
didn't say Firefly.
That would be another one. Firefly. That's a definite... If you want to talk about a show that never got a fair effing chance, Firefly. That one right there.
Okay. All right. Well,
they were just a victim of Fox. And that's a whole nother story in itself. Fox just were like, a space western? What in the F is this? And they were freaking hitting a brick wall from day one. And that was BS. I'll say that.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Get your opinion, man. Out of those options, which one do you choose? Or did you pick the other option as well?
No, I went with the popular vote, John Wick. I know there is a John Wick Hex game. It's kind of like a twin stick strategy, game that I wish there was more of, like a hand-to-hand combat, third-person view, like whether you can use either gunplay or just hand-to-hand combat. It doesn't necessarily have to be in an RPG per se. Just have it where you can do certain loadouts as far as the weapons you want to carry, whether you carry a sawed-off or, just deal with pistols or whatnot, but just something that's third person, more like action-based, like the movie itself. The current game, haven't tried it. I'm willing to give it a try, but it's a little bit different than what I would want in a John Wick game based on the movie type of thing. But once again, usually movies based on games based on movies, some of them have let us down. There's been some gems out there like Riddick and in my opinion the Mad Max game, even though it wasn't directly
Mad Max was an
movie
awesome
continuation, or it wasn't an exact story type of thing for the movie. But yeah, I would like to see a John Wick game, third-person view, realistic graphics, hand-to-hand combat and weapons. Doesn't have to be an RPG, just an action game in general, and I think that would be pretty cool.
Okay. All right. Lots of outside the box choices, man. I love the fact that this gets people talking about things that maybe, people wouldn't have normally thought about. So love the poll of the week once again. So we'll have a new one this Monday. Look out for that. Follow me on Twitter. All of that information is below. Once again, shout out to everybody watching live right now. Appreciate you guys always tuning into the show. Once again, hit the like button, subscribe if you've not already. Let's go ahead and keep this thing moving. Now, we are going to have an impromptu change of the subject because I feel like we have to address what went on this week with Xbox. So this is not in the itinerary, but we're going to kind of fit it in and make it work. All right. So I feel like we just have to address it because you guys, as fans of ours here on the Shop Podcast are going to want to hear about this. So obviously we know what happened. I don't even need to get into the details. If you're living under a rock, I'm sorry. Just go download Twitter, download the app, it's free, and go just hit Xbox in a search, and I swear to you, it'll all pop up right there in front of you. But Xbox made a decision to double the amount of Xbox Live Gold, take away essentially, like, not take away the year option, but double the price and not really add anything to the value. Now, it didn't really affect people that were already grandfathered or people that already had Game Pass, but it really affected pretty much brand new customers coming to the Xbox platform. And we all, I think, universally agreed that was a shitty idea and it was not smart. So about 10 hours or so later, 12 hours, they reversed the policy, essentially said, we're not doing that. Everything's going to stay the same, as well as we're going to move a lot of these free to play games, Warzone, Apex Legends, Fortnite, from behind the paywall. So that, I think, out of everything that happened, I think that was the most surprising to me, that they went that further step, because it's something we talked about here on the Shop podcast, off camera, pre-game, stuff like that. We have these conversations. So I want to get everybody's here quick idea on the chat of kind of the 180 that was done. It was a roller coaster. Yesterday was crazy. So we'll just start with you, Pong. Just at this current point in time, where you at on everything?
It was unprecedented what they did in a lot of ways. How quickly they moved to fix their mistake, realizing what they should have realized from the beginning. I mean, it should never have happened in the first place. But that's not going to stop me from applauding them for their quick reaction and changing course instantly, all things considered, right? So you come out with something that, again, for a lot of people that had issues with it, myself included, it was not necessarily about the dollar amount. It was about the business decision and the position that Microsoft is in right now when it comes to the optics of everything. And if you are trying to draw people and not just keep the people that you have, because they are behind, but they have said, and everybody already knows, that they are going after a large share of the market. They want as many people as every company does in their ecosystem. In order to do that, you have to position yourself properly to say to people, hey, these are all the benefits of coming over here, and we want you here, and this is what we're doing for you. And the less barriers that you have for that entry point, the better. The free-to-play games is something that should have been taken care of years ago. So that should have been done. That's been talked about before. Everybody understood that that was something that was hindering, because there are people out there, believe it or not, that their main games they play are the Fortnites, are the Apex Legends, are the Warzones, right? So to have that barrier already in place when your competition, being the PS5, does not have it, and PC, which you yourself, Microsoft, have said, playing on PC or playing on a console, it's the same thing. You're all part of the Xbox family, but the PC people don't have to pay for it. To have that barrier is egregious. And it's something that was pointed out consistently. And when people were trying to come into the system and weighing their options, it is something that went into the decision making. Now, the number of people, we can argue over how big a percentage that is, but when you're trying to capture as many people as possible, there should be no barriers. So I applaud them for fixing that. Actually, the reversal was one thing, but then to throw what they should have done a long time ago on there and say, hey, we are also going to take it one step further and finally do away with this. That is fantastic. And nothing but, bravo to the entire team over there that, they probably had a lot of Zoom meetings going on yesterday, especially when they started seeing themselves trend on Twitter for all the wrong reasons. You'd never want that, right? So I can guarantee you they had a lot of conversations. To be able to make that happen in a 10, 11, 12-hour period, whatever it was, is amazing for a company that size. So kudos to them for that. The reversal itself is obviously something that needed to happen from an optics standpoint. Whether or not, we all know what the reasons behind it were. We all know that they want everybody moving to to Game Pass and to Game Pass Ultimate. That is their goal, and I get it. But strong arming, when you are in a position of, I'm not going to say weakness because they're coming into this gen very strong, but because of the previous gen and the numbers that are involved here, they are in the weaker spot. And to come in and try to strong arm people into that is not the way you do it. You have to give out candy and try to attract, right? You got to use the honey to get the bees. And the more you do that, the better off. If you're in a position of power and strength, sometimes you can use those tactics. Companies are going to do it. I don't agree with it. I don't like it as a consumer, but companies are going to do it. I'm not mad at them. I totally get why they would do that. But they needed to reverse that so that the messaging that was going out, whether right or wrong, was corrected, and they were actually going to get some positive news out of this. They salvaged what they could and turned it into a positive. And that's what needed to be done, because the word of mouth still works. Even though the people on Twitter are a small percentage, it still happens where people read stuff on Twitter, go tell their friends tell their friends, their friends tell their friends, and it becomes uncontrollable, and bad news spreads fast. So they stepped up to the plate. They did what they needed to do to change it, change the whole perception of what was happening, and get back into, a good spot. They had been doing really good here for a long time. They always seem to have these little missteps because they have a problem. I will say Microsoft has a problem with messaging. They never seem to get it just quite right. Whenever they release something, it always has a negative to it in a way, right? I won't say 100% of the time, but they seem to get going and then all of a sudden trip again. And they could have done this many different ways. We won't go into that because I know you want to keep this short. There was a lot of different options they could have done on the table that would have been a lot better than what they did. But they chose the path they did. They found out that it was the wrong path, and they corrected right away as fast as they could. So kudos to them.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, this is something that like you said, I mean, the immediate reaction from the community, I think, was so big. I don't even think we realized how big it was to get them, a company that big, to immediately make that change in that amount of time.
And shout out to the community. Shout out to the community for raising our voices. There's been plenty of issues that this could have been done previously with other companies. Sony and their $70 games, there should have been a stink raised about that. Nobody should be willing to pay more than they have to, right? But, the community rose up as one, and they heard it. And again, kudos to them for listening. That's huge. So, yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, I mean, there's a lot of people on both sides of the fence in this argument. So we'll get to you, Stag, just kind of get your opinion. I know a lot of people have, I guess there's some people that were, completely overblowing it. Like, after me, like, kind of taking, a little time to sit back and really think about it, and just kind of break down, like, how it's really affecting people. I'm like, well, it's not as bad as initially that I thought it was. But let's go ahead and just get your opinion, Stag, on what everything that went down.
Well, obviously, the free-to-play thing was in the works for a long time. They announced it before they probably planned on, just to make up for everyone's perceived misstep. I don't know. I got a couple points here, and they're not going to be popular, and I don't care. One of the main problems I had with the overreaction of certain people on the Twitters was, like, there's some creators out there like, I'm not spending that much, but yet I see you working, trying to get yourself a 380 or a 3080, excuse me. Searching out there for a PS5. It's like, and then I gotta spend this extra money now, and it's like, bro, like, I know you use rewards to earn that shit for free, and you're trying to spend a ton of money on other stuff. Like, so don't. It bugged me a lot that I saw some content creators that we all know damn well are doing okay, acting like this was going to be a hardship for them. My other big point that's not going to be real popular is I have never, ever in my life, because I didn't grow up in the 20s, seen people bitch about 35 cents a day so fucking much. Like, amazingly enough. Like, I get it. It was a double in the price increase, but it's 35 cents a day. There is a lot of people out there that spend $5 to $8 a day on coffee, go to fast food restaurants every day for lunch, buy cigarettes, buy sodas, daily that cost them more just to shit and piss out. I don't know. I thought it was overblown. Now, do I agree with the decision that Xbox did? No, I don't agree with it. I don't think that much of a jack in price was the right move. And obviously they listened and they changed it. But I have never in my life seen such an outcry over 35 cents a day. I mean, granted, you could spend that, feeding a kid in Africa or, saving a puppy, but 35 cents a day. That's all I got. 35 fucking cents.
And once again, like I said,
it was $130. I just did, I upped it a little bit because
so, and like I said, there's a lot of points, a lot of optics on this. You can look at this from a lot of different
smart
ways.
And you know how to use your Microsoft rewards well. You ain't paying shit for that.
There's that too. So I mean, once again, but that's not I guess as well known information, unfortunately, as it probably should be. So maybe that's the
if I need to run Microsoft rewards classes, I will do it because y'all should be using that shit. I don't buy gift cards for myself. I don't buy Game Pass. I don't buy Xbox Live. I freaking do Microsoft rewards.
Got it. So yeah, I mean that's another thing too. So maybe you guys should just look into that.
Granted, some people outside of the U.S. and some other countries can't do it because it's not available everywhere. So I get that.
Yeah, that's a good point too. So let's go ahead and throw this over to Centurion. Just kind of get your opinion on everything that happened. Just kind of get your reaction as of now. Kind of now that everything's marinated.
Oh, trust me, it's marinating. Now, before I fully give my opinion, I'm gonna pull a political move here, and I would like to pass the mic to Fuzzy Belvedere because I would actually like to get his opinion finally before I kind of throw mine out there.
All right, go ahead, Fuzz.
All right. Let me get my thoughts together here. For the most part, I didn't agree with Microsoft's approach as far as the initial price increase.
Yeah,
and it's not as much about how much it is a day and things along those lines. It's more along the lines of if you're being a competitor. And yes, I shouldn't have to worry about what Microsoft makes and how well they do and blah, blah, blah. Shareholder or not, it doesn't matter. But when you're trying to, earn our dollars as consumers and your direct competitor, whether you want to admit that they're your direct competitor or not, is still charging, $60 for the year. Yes, they bumped it up about $10 a couple of years ago, but they're still charging $60. And now you're going to charge $120. Yes, there are some qualms with that service. Are you comfortable leaving your credit card there? Me personally, no. Are you completely happy with the reliability of that service? Not always. But nonetheless, if you're competing for dollars and you're trying to appeal to the 2 billion gamers that are out there, you got to call BS when companies decide that they're going to just, do a dramatic increase. Now, I say it's dramatic only because if you look at it from the year standpoint, the monthly, yeah, it only went up $1. But 3 months went up like $5. But when you're looking at the overall cost for what the year used to be, and yes, I understand the year used to be somewhat discounted, but it just feels bad. I don't care how you want to spin it. It just feels bad to go ahead and double it. Do companies have the right to make money? Sure. Do consumers have the right to either not really boycott, but speak with their wallet? Of course. And yes, I'll admit, I haven't paid for gold ever since Game Pass has been out, or ever since they had where you can convert gold to Game Pass. And I do use my Microsoft rewards. But I'm at a bit of a crossroads here because I have 2 teenage boys that have an Xbox Series S each, and Game Share only works on console. So I got to figure out how I'm going to navigate getting Game Pass on these 3 consoles and possibly on 2 gaming rigs until I build my gaming rig, and on the cell phones we have. Now, yes, all those devices are way more money than a few cents a day type of thing, but in the grand scheme of things, an unexpected increase that's more than the norm. Like, it outpaces the inflation, it outpaces the cost of living, and it's more like you're just doubling it, almost like the scalpers with gouging pricing on eBay for PS5s and Series X's. It rubs you the wrong way. Yeah, it's just my 2 cents on it. I complained about it. Yes, I'm not using that service, but me personally, I would prefer them to also have some sort of like family plan. Because, like I said, two teenage boys, they each have a gaming rig, they each have a console. I have a console. I'm going to build a gaming rig. Early on, I did not like buying a game 3 times. Now that the S is digital, so it's not like I can wait until there's a sale on the disc over at GameStop or anything. But there just needs to be kind of like a family plan in the sense that, okay, if you're one household where there's multiple consoles, if I'm paying, like, let's say it's double what Game Pass Ultimate is now, I'm fine with that as long as I know I can get those services on the 3 consoles, on 3 PCs, and on 3 phones, or make it a spread where it's like between 3 to 5 devices, on each tier. Console,
kind of like the
PC,
Netflix
and,
thing. Kind of like how Netflix has the tiers. Yeah.
So if they did something like that, I'd be all for it. But don't try to hit us over the head where it's like, oh, there's 5 users. Okay, it's 5 things of Game Pass. It's like, that's not a family plan. That's just a grouping of, the same thing that you can go out and spend now. But at the end of the day, this is a hobby. It's not a requirement. It's not a necessity like, food or clothing or shelter or anything like that. First world problems, sure, however you want to look at it. But I'm just glad that they decided to, listen or at least adjust their plan of the price hike, and then throw a little bit more gravy on top with, unlocking the free to play. Does it really matter to me directly as a consumer? No, but I know quite a few parents and kids that the kids that go to school with my kids, although we're home doing the virtual school, but a lot of them were on Xbox prior to the new consoles, and a handful of them were on PlayStation. And then it started to be like, well, everybody's going to now get a PlayStation because you don't have to pay for online. Like, parents, I'm not going to speak for all parents. I know my kids' friends' parents, a lot of them were like, they buy a device and that's it. They don't want to have to constantly go back and do stuff like buy additional games until the parents or grandparents or somebody gives them birthday money or Christmas money. So the fact that they would have to go out there, get the Xbox, the kid downloads Fortnite, then has to pay, $60 a month, which they would probably be fine with it if they know up front, okay, that's what we have to do. And then all of a sudden it jumps up to 120. Yeah, they're probably going to be like, no, we're not going to do that. And then, the kids will, try to whisper in grandpa or grandma's ear to, get them a PlayStation later on. And I know, it costs more to get another PlayStation than it does to just pay the 120. But from a kid standpoint, they're not looking at where the money's coming from. And if it's coming from outside their household, it's not going to matter at that point. But at this point, I'm probably rambling. So I'll just wrap it up with Xbox realized that this was not the news story that they wanted. They didn't want to be another CD Projekt Red at this week, or at least for this weekend or ongoing, as they're trying to, gain consumers in their service. But I'm just glad that they kind of, course corrected, and that's all I got on it.
All right, so let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get in this with Centurion, man.
Oh wow. Well, I'll just put out there, the dramatic uptick in price is probably where they got it wrong. They need to gradually do it, and what I mean by gradually do it, they need to show the form of like a Netflix. We've seen numerous price hikes through Netflix over the years, and the reason why I bring up Netflix is because I remember what everybody always said when Netflix raised the price, that they were going to stop paying for Netflix, and there was people that actually did stop using the service. But as a result of their price hike, they were able to give us programs that are exclusive to Netflix. They were able to bring back certain television shows that are now exclusive to Netflix, on top of creating new stuff like The Witcher 3. I mean, excuse me, not The Witcher 3, but The Witcher television series and the Stranger Things. And so I kind of see where my money is going with Netflix. So I can kind of see, I guess, why they would need to do it, because I understand that inherently creating this kind of entertainment costs a lot of money, and also getting it to people costs a lot of money. Microsoft, at the end of the day, built an infrastructure that's a very complex and very technical infrastructure that we all play games on. And at the end of the day, it needs to be taken care of and maintained. They're not building this just so me, you, and anybody else can play Call of Duty every night and chit chat with our friends. They're doing this to make money. And that's where, you know, when the network died during the pandemic numerous times on other platforms, that network was down for much longer than it was on Microsoft every time it failed. And that was because Microsoft does have their stuff together when it comes to maintaining this network and also dispatching the people that are needed to fix it. Do you think those people wake up in the middle of the night ready to do their job just because we want to play games? No, they have a paycheck that they're looking forward to, and Microsoft has to provide that. And on, you know, people don't see what goes beyond Microsoft. Is Fuzzy was the one that actually showed me this stuff. Microsoft is experimenting with new ways of putting servers at the bottom of the ocean to cut back on costs. Because why? The oceans is cold. You need to keep servers cold. Servers generate a lot of heat. Think about your Series X, big enough to fit in a room, and then you have a room full of these. That's why when you see people that work in rooms with servers, they're generally in long sleeves and jackets. That room is a giant refrigerator. And that room, that's AC. You got to pay the AC bill to maintain those rooms. That's why Microsoft is experimenting with new ways to cool these servers to basically offset some of the costs that are occurring to do this. And what does everybody want with Microsoft and Xbox Live? We want bigger games. We want more multiplayer. We want to see more people on the maps. We want faster load times. And all I'm saying is this does not occur just as like, hey, we want to be charitable and basically, you know, make sure everybody is taken care of. At the end of the day, in my opinion, Microsoft did a good job making sure we stayed connected during 2020. It is now 2021. In my industry alone, I have seen I've seen manufacturers raise product prices already 8% on some of my products. And 8%. Well, what's 8% of $2,000-$3,000? I have customers coming in right now going, oh my God, why are prices higher? Well, because the employees are now expected to wear this protective equipment because life did not go on as normal. Microsoft is expected as everybody else to protect their employees from what is going on. So they now have to actually give them special protective equipment that they have to wear to do their jobs. They have to do things differently altogether just to give us the same result. And as a result, we're going to see a little bit of a price increase. This is something I was expecting to happen. I even chatted, I'll put it out there. I chatted with Crap Gamer last year about this. Because even he said like, there's going to be a price hike. I was like, I agree. There's going to be a price hike. The writing is on the wall. And it's good to see that Microsoft definitely backtracked because they did it very wrong. You can't just go in there and double the price. That you got to gradually do it over time, you know, come out with a strategy of like, hey, we're going to increase it $1 here for like 6-8 months and then $1 here for 6-8, you know, you just can't have this giant, you know, bomb of a doubling of a price. That was one thing I definitely just shook my head at, was like, wow, I'm curious if they're going to stick to their guns. Are they going to somehow bundle like a basic version of Game Pass in with it? Like, what are they going to do to make people feel that is worth that kind of money? Because regretfully, I did sit back and say $10.99. Well, still even $10-11. That's a little steep for Xbox Live, you know, considering the free games you do get are a little paltry. basically the only thing you're really paying for is the reliability in the network. Yeah, I'm not trying to ramble on. I'm just putting it out there that it's kind of a double-edged sword. We all want this reliable network that we can all count on after we've had a crap-ass day at work and we just want to play some games with our friends. But also at the same time, we realize there's an inherent cost in trying to do this.
It's once again, there's a lot of ways to look at this. I mean, this is something that I think we'll be talking about for the next couple of weeks, and I don't really think it'll go away. I mean, obviously everything's completely different. They made the reverse, and things should be smooth over and settled down by now. But I don't see any of us not playing on Xbox anymore because of this, or supporting the company and our system going forward. It is what it is at the end of the day. Glad things, huh?
Come on, man. This is going to be all done and over with by Monday. And they're going to be bitching about something new then.
I just think it's funny how we all got up in arms over this whole situation. But let's go rewind to 2013 when PlayStation was like, we're going to start charging for online services, and they might as well have just jumped up and down like they saw that PS5 logo with thunderous applause, like, yay, we're getting charged for online services. And then when freaking Xbox comes out, we're going to raise the price by $1 and blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, this is sacrilege. How could you do that? Well, and I'm just saying, like, I feel like the media played a big point. Like, we all know that the media just loves, hey, look, Microsoft raised the price. We need to drag this through the mud all day.
So I mean, we all got strong opinions about this subject. So let's just keep it moving. We can talk about this for the rest of the show. So let's go ahead and keep it moving. But once again, let us know in the chat what you guys think about what happened yesterday and everything that transpired. So let's go ahead and just lighten the mood a little bit. So we're going to talk a little bit about Ninja Theory because and them essentially being slept on a little bit, in my opinion, because I think out of all of the big studios that we've talked about that Xbox has, we sometimes not that we here forget, but we haven't talked much about like Hellblade and Ninja Theory and the expectations, and I think we generally expect what they're going to show is going to be amazing. And then obviously Project Mara is something that they flexed recently as well with the updates and screenshots, and the game looks phenomenal. I mean, they're screenshots, but the game looks phenomenal. So I just want to talk a little bit about Ninja Theory and show them some love. So we'll start with you, Pong. They've been extremely quiet. Nothing on the front of Hellblade 2, no new footage or anything of the sort. So where are you at with Ninja Theory? Because they seem to be, I don't know, we kind of don't talk about them as much, and they're very important to Xbox.
Well, we don't talk about them as much just because they haven't gotten the critical acclaim yet, right? So what we saw out of Hellblade was a smaller sample size of what this studio is capable of. I believe they doubled their team now since the first Hellblade. I would say that Ninja Theory is probably, out of all the studios that Microsoft now has, and we'll even throw the ZeniMax studios in there, I think they are the closest studio that Microsoft currently has to Naughty Dog for Sony. Okay.
You think so?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And why I say, and I'm not talking about performance. I'm not talking about the games they've put out, because we know that, again, Hellblade was a small sample size of what that team could do. They didn't have when they started that project, they didn't yet have the full backing. They didn't they had a super small team. But if you remember what Naughty Dog started like, it's very similar to how Ninja Theory is right now. Right. And Microsoft, to their credit, and this is what they've talked about going forward, is giving these studios the freedom to do what they want to do with their projects, right? And I think that they have given Ninja Theory the most freedom to go ahead and push the boundaries with the tech, with the narratives that they want to tell, right? Because they obviously have a very specific narrative that they do like to delve into, that being psychological, right? And Naughty Dog has its own style that it likes to delve into. Obviously, I mean, again, The Last of Us is, you can break down The Last of Us. You could have professional psychologists break down The Last of Us. So I think they are in line with moving into that territory as long as they come out and produce the game, right? And I think Microsoft has given them all the backing, all the freedom they need to do this. They are pushing the technology that's available to them forward. They're using Unreal Engine 5, which we already know. Obviously, if you've seen the latest developer diary that they put out with those incredible, which I'm sure everybody has at this point, seen those incredible Project Mara screenshots, they are pushing for uncanny valley territory here, right? And they are using brand new techniques that they themselves are developing. I think the one is called Quixel, and that's how they scan real life objects in and put it into the game itself. Now, we have no idea what Project Mara is. They label it as an experimental type game. So who knows? It could come out as a point and click psychological horror. We don't know, but let's assume that it's a regular style, psychological horror game where you're in this one apartment and things are happening to you, right? And you're experiencing them. If they can bring what they showed from those screenshots and bring it into the game and actually have gameplay within those environments, you're talking about next level stuff. This is next gen. I mean, this is truly pushing the medium forward, right? Because we're always looking for the next level graphics, right? The more realistic graphics. I'm not saying that every game has to have that. Obviously, we already know this. But if you're going to do this style, everybody wants to see that. Wow, this is it. Okay. Now this is getting crazy, right? And those screenshots did that, because I don't know about you guys, but I tested it out on my wife and asked her if she could tell the difference between the two, and she picked. I think there was three. Was there three sets of them or whatever else?
It was 2 or 3.
2 or 3. Yeah. I think she picked 2. I think it was 3 total. She picked 2 out of the 3 that were actually the graphics that not the real picture, right? So Uncanny Valley is something that people are going to be striving for, especially when it starts coming to virtual reality. So this is a team that's pushing forward and pushing the boundaries within the medium itself forward, right? They are expanding. And when it comes to Hellblade 2, what you're seeing here is this is the type of team that you want, a tight-knit team. Even though they've doubled, I think they're at 40 now working on Hellblade 2, a tight-knit team. It may take them a little bit longer to get the game out, but they are efficient in what they do. They are obviously focused in what they do, and they are taking the resources that are being given to them now by Microsoft and saying, okay, we're going to take what we already did back here at Hellblade, and we are looking to push that game forward and expand out on everything that we did well. And obviously, from our standpoint, we hope that they go ahead and fix the stuff that, was possibly just a little bit behind or didn't work out quite right. A lot of people had problems with some of the combat and stuff like that. But I think we're going to see that. And if Hellblade 2 comes out as expected for this team, I think you're going to start hearing them, not one-for-one conversation here, but you're going to start hearing them in the conversations of some of the most talented devs out there. And with Project Mara, if they pull that off, even if it's a small game, a small sample size, but they pull off that type of graphical fidelity when it comes to realism versus in-game, you're going to hear that more and more as one of those teams that is making waves within the industry. And obviously Microsoft is going to be happy that they purchased them and invested in that team, and I have a lot of faith in them. So that's what I see.
Oh, awesome, man. I mean, they're amazing, and I don't know why we tend to, just for whatever reason, like I thought about them and I'm like, man, we don't talk about them very much. I mean, it's more out of sight, out of mind, because we haven't really seen much from Hellblade, and it's just really been low key. They've kind of just been laying low and getting the game done. So I think it's just more so that than anything. I don't see many people question their talent. So that's a very good thing. I think we all know how talented they actually are. And Hellblade 1 was done out of desperation. People, they mortgaged their homes to make that game. So this will be a game, this next Hellblade, as well as anything else they make, is going to be a game. They have no financial pressure this time around. They're just making a video game that they love to make. So it's going to be interesting to see. But we'll go ahead and throw this over to you, Stag. What do you think about Ninja Theory, man? I don't know, if I want to say they're underrated, but just kind of your opinion on what's coming down the pipeline for them, or just your expectations?
I honestly don't have a lot of expectations outside of the norm. I mean, you know me, like I just kind of temper my expectations for the most part. They did great on Hellblade. Bleeding Edge was a little lackluster. I've played it. It was a little slow. I could have been a little bit more engaging and faster pace. It just didn't kind of hit the mark for me. No, I don't think Hellblade 2 is going to miss the mark, and I don't think Project Mara is going to miss the mark, whatever it ends up being. Like, it looks amazing, just what they've shown us so far. I don't think anybody's sleeping on them because there's, I wouldn't say low expectations. I mean, we expect good things from them because of what they've done in the past, but I don't know. I just think they're in a good position to create what they want. And they've definitely decided, or maybe not decided, but they have a very methodical pace about what they do. And it doesn't feel like they rush things just to get them on the market to recoup. Granted, they're owned by, Microsoft Studios now, so that helps a lot. But, a certain game that came out recently, Cyberpunk, which probably could have used, if not 6 months to a year more of development time, for the consoles. I don't feel like they're rushing to just put something on the market. They want to put their product out there that they're proud of and that hits the mark.
Yeah.
So I think we're all being patient with it because of how well they did Hellblade. Granted, we want it, but at the end of the day, we all want games that are do what we expect and play correctly, and we don't have to sit and download 5 gig patches or more. Day 1. Day 30, whatever. So if I'm going to download, content for a game, I want it to be new content, not to fix, game clips or game clipping or whatever, So
Yeah.
I really feel like they have a very huge passion for what they do still. They haven't gotten out of that not new to this phase, but just that when you're kind of new to something and you still fucking love the shit out of it, I really feel like they're still in that, and it even though they've had success, I still feel like they're in that this is our passion and we love to do this, so we want to not only make money, obviously, which they're gonna do as a being owned by Microsoft. They've made their money and they're still getting their paychecks, but put out something they're proud of, and if that takes another year, then it takes another year. So that's where it's at. I think that, I don't know. I could probably just keep rambling and make no sense and bad points, but I think
a lot of great points. The chat agrees as well, man. So shout out to everybody in the chat. Spooky, Dirt in there hanging out. Z Black Rider. Shout out to all you guys hanging out. But yeah, a lot of great points, Stag. I mean, I just, like you said, I think a lot of it's just we kind of expect them to be to do well, and it really doesn't seem to be any pressure out of all the studios and all the different studios that Xbox has purchased recently, with them being one of the newer studios. It just kind of feels like they're just kind of coasting and doing that.
Kind of feels like Microsoft's not putting pressure on any of these developers they bought. They know they make quality stuff before they were purchased, but now they have almost infinite money behind them. I know it's not infinite. I know that. I'm just saying they now have all the things they wanted to do but couldn't do because they couldn't hire those extra 10 people or whatever. That money's now available. And, obviously Microsoft's not afraid of losing money. So, I mean, you don't spend $7.2 billion, and granted that deal's not done yet, and that's a different topic, but you don't spend $7.2 billion when you're afraid of investing in product.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion. Get your opinion on Ninja Theory and just, them being
probably why they raised Xbox Live Gold for a couple days or for 10 hours. They're like, shit, we got to pay for that ZeniMax deal.
we need a couple extra mil on the back end. Give us about 10 hours. I think we can raise it. But but yeah, let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion. Just your opinion on just Ninja Theory and the kind of games that they make and kind of where they at. They've been laying low, and we haven't seen much of Hellblade 2. So where you at?
Oh, well, there's just no. I can't even say that. I can't even make a joke against Ninja Theory. They're a sleeping giant. We'll definitely just say that they're a sleeping giant. They did. I've dabbled a little bit in Hellblade, haven't completed it yet. But from what I have played, it's a very beautiful looking game, very well done. I definitely will say that Bleeding Edge was going to be a bigger game than I thought it would be. Than it did. It's actually kind of, I guess it's cool that Microsoft actually lets these developers kind of go out and try new things. And that's what we're seeing with what Ninja Theory is doing. We've already seen them with Hellblade and what they created over there. They dabbled a little bit in multiplayer with Bleeding Edge. And now we're going to get this project that it honestly almost like, forgive me to make another reference here to movies, but like, imagine like a Paranormal Activity, just like on that level. But it's so lifelike that you would basically start questioning things about the game itself, because, if you really think about it, when we generally play games that have these built-in environments, you see pots, pans, other things in the household that are just static items in the room that you really can't do much with. Now, all of a sudden, we're creating a game that's going to take place in one apartment. What is going to be the level of interactivity in these environments, along with it's going to be so lifelike that you could start questioning something that you saw in the game, because we all know that's how Ninja Theory works. They like to kind of mess with your mind. They like to push you into what's the word I'm looking for? They like to push you into someone else's shoes, somebody who's going through a psychosis. Now, whether or not that's where, if you really look at this game, you could be experiencing a paranormal event, or you could be just in the shoes of somebody who's experiencing a psychosis event, and they're just hallucinating into what they think is a paranormal event. I'm really curious on exactly what they're going to cook up out of this game, and I'm very intrigued. And definitely Ninja Theory, again, start off with saying it, and I'm going to end it with they are a sleeping giant.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Get your opinion before we wrap this topic up and move on to the last one, man. So, where you at with Ninja Theory? Because we've all kind of talked about it, and we don't really talk about them that much on the show. I can't even remember the last time we had a specific Ninja Theory topic. Maybe when they showed Hellblade 2 at, I think it was just in a trailer for the VGA. No, at the VGAs.
Yeah.
2 years ago? I think last year, something like that. But yeah, so it's been a minute, and we don't talk about it much. Where you at, man? On Ninja Theory.
Big fan of theirs as far as from Hellblade, and the Devil May Cry reboot that they did as well. I haven't played any of their games prior to that, but one thing, my only critique of them, I really wish Bleeding Edge was a fighter game as opposed to like an arena style game. We don't have a Killer Instinct right now, or a new Killer Instinct. And I think the characters and some of the moves and abilities of those characters from Bleeding Edge in a versus fighter type of thing would be a nice transition. I know it's not what their passion is as far as that particular project, but if they are willing to, alter it a little bit, make it a fighter, I think it would see a bit of life or a resurgence to some extent. But on to Project Mara and Hellblade 2. I'm patiently waiting for Hellblade 2. What we saw at the VGAs was awesome as far as for photorealism, adult or mature theme type game that we're going to have within the Xbox ecosystem. That's not a first or third person shooter or racer or a RPG type of thing. So I really like the potential for Hellblade 2, especially I haven't finished Hellblade 1, but pretty close to it, just trying to 100% all the puzzles and whatnot. But as far as for Project Mara, the level of detail and the techniques that they're using to get the textures and the coloring and the particles and stuff like that. Yeah, it's
him and the Sobo been working together or something, man. They got
you would think, but it's just like they're going to have it to the point where they can generate dust, like the way dust would build up in the corner of your apartment or something in this game, which is kind of weird in itself, but it just that amount of detail that they're putting into it. Sure, it's going to be, a smaller world, I guess, if it's contained to just that apartment. But if you're going to have a smaller map, let's just say, and go into that extra detail, the immersion level should be through the roof on that. And I'm looking forward to what they have to offer on it, especially after Hellblade. Which, if you haven't played Hellblade, play it with headphones, and you'll see how their dealings with like mental health and stuff like that, or being integrated into games, and the awareness they make with that is a very not just interesting but unique take on things. So I can't wait until both Hellblade 2 and Project Mara are available. But yeah, they're not mentioned. They're not always in the news or anything like that, just because you're only pretty much in the news cycle based on your last project. And Hellblade is now, I think, going on 3 or 4 years.
4 years old, yeah.
So, but I think once they release Hellblade 2 or Project Mara or whenever those hit, I think they're going to be front and center as far as they may not win Game of the Year, but they'll definitely be up for some awards as far as, story and visuals and more than likely for audio as well. So I can't wait.
All right, cool. So I think we're all on the same page with Ninja Theory. I think they're like Centurion said, sleeping giant. I think that we have a certain level of expectation with that particular studio. I think we're all kind of on the edge of our seats.
Would you mind if I added something real quick?
Go ahead.
I'm just curious. Everybody keeps bringing up the size of the environment, and I just happen to. For me, it's like there has been some really, really interesting stuff that has come out of the horror genre in entertainment, and we've seen it with again, like I said, Paranormal Activity. Technically, a movie that takes place in an apartment. That just technically the theory was the guy just put cameras everywhere. But years ago, I actually had a good chance to sit down with one of the producers with Fade to Black Films. And Fade to Black was the company that originally helped push out the original Saw movie, the very first Saw. And I liked how this guy, when he was like, when we did Saw and the writers and everything got together to do Saw, the one thing we liked was that 3/4 of the film were literally going to take place in nothing more than basically a room the size of an oversized bathroom. 2 guys chained to the walls on either side of the room. And people didn't really notice this fact of the movie, because they were just too entrenched in the actual what was going on. And that's something that Ninja Theory can do. We've seen this in Hellblade, that they really know how to really get into that psychological style of gaming. And I feel like people are going to forget how big this environment is, just like they forgot how big technically the movie Saw was. You're literally watching 2 dudes argue in a room almost 3/4 of the movie.
So good point. So a lot of cool things can be done in a small space, and I love to see things like this. This is a chance. Like, this type of game is something that is not normal. It's outside the norm. So it's always cool to see these ideas take flight. So hopefully everything goes well for Ninja Theory going forward, and we get these amazing games. So let's go ahead and move on to the last topic of the show. So once again, shout out to everybody that's watched the show to this point now live. We greatly appreciate you guys' continue support. Thank you so much. So last one here, just some rumor, kind of speculative type shit. So an EA dev stated that Xbox has a few unannounced games this year coming out, and I just wanted to get everybody's thoughts on that. Just kind of figure out, where everybody's thoughts are on unannounced games, and just that idea that maybe the whole EA, there's maybe something there with EA. Maybe they have another deal. We've talked about the Star Wars deal being up now, kind of how that's going to go, and that deal with Lucasfilms being over with. So just kind of get everybody's genuine opinion on, just anything unannounced coming out. Doesn't have to be just for Xbox. I know the specific question was Xbox, but hell, even for Sony. Anything unannounced coming out for Sony as well. So where you at on that, Pong? Just about what we know already from both companies, that the slate of games coming out, as opposed to things that they may be surprising us with.
Yeah, so I think a lot of it's still up in the air. I don't even think Microsoft or Sony or even Nintendo know specifically what's going to make this year. Obviously, with everything still going on, right? So I think a lot of the release calendars are probably have a lot of question marks still sitting there. Obviously, they probably know what they want to come out at this point, but again, with everything happening and obviously people are adjusting and. This year will be better than last year, where everybody was kind of flying by the seat of their pants. I think this year we're going to see a lot more consistency. I think probably most of the devs have kind of figured out the working situation, but that doesn't mean that it's as efficient as it was having everybody in the same office. Maybe some devs will find out that they like it better, and maybe it'll be more productive. But be that as may, when you hear something like this, obviously people in the industry talk to each other. Obviously, there's a lot of friends that probably are in different places, so it's not a surprise that rumors are out there like this. It's always kind of strange when somebody, an EA Dice, dev pops up out of the blue and kind of says, "Hey, Microsoft's got a couple of unreleased." Or unannounced titles coming out in 2021. I always think that's kind of funny because it's like, why even say that? Because everybody's just going to start talking, and of course, everybody. Yeah, it's dumb because you can't say anything. You're not going to be able to say anything specific, so it's like, why? But obviously, other people have backed this up. Brad Sams and Jez Corden from Windows Central. I mean, he came out on him and Rand's show and said that he knows of 2 for sure for Xbox that are due to come out in 2021, and he doesn't say that unless he absolutely knows, right? So he's not the type that just throws stuff against the wall. So I definitely believe it's possible. I think one that I'm leaning towards is Wolfenstein 3. I think with the Indiana Jones announcement, that kind of aligns with the fact, and again, Machine Games might have 2 groups working or whatever else, but I think with them announcing that game, it kind of says to me at least that Wolfenstein 3, if that is the title they're working on, and we're just going under assumptions here that it's kind of due and they're going to want to wrap up that series with a pretty bow on it, so it makes sense that they would do it with Wolfenstein 3, especially after the Youngblood debacle. I think they want to come back with that and finish off the series and say, no, this is really Wolfenstein here. This is it. So I think that kind of says that game is closer to completion than we may know about, and we haven't heard a lot about any of it. But years wise, it's kind of in the wheelhouse. So I think maybe late fall, winter time, Wolfenstein 3 could possibly be there. And you don't know what this EA dev, was talking about per se. They've talked about Starfield, but they haven't actually announced it as any kind of release date. And there hasn't been hardly anything shown of it other than a couple leaked screens and the initial teaser that Todd put out however many years ago. I personally believe that's coming out this year. So maybe he was hinting that is going to make the 2021 release window. I personally believe that's possible. As far as Sony goes, you know what? With Sony, it's a tough one to call. They said that, obviously God of War was going to be due out this year.
I don't think that's making this year.
No, I don't think, unless the only way it does is if they are using the last God of War's assets, they are making it cross-gen, and they're going to make it a smaller game, kind of like Miles Morales.
That's what that Fuzz, you said that, and I was like, "No bullshit! There's no way they could do that."
Yep, they could, because they had. You got to understand, they had already planned an expansion for the last one released, and they scrapped it.
The way it ended as well, kind of looks like
and we don't know if it was, if Ragnarok was the actual expansion they were planning, and they just kind of scrapped it and said, hey, you know what, instead of making a DLC, let's make it into a bigger semi, whatever you want to call them now. But they've done it in the past with their other games, right? So they've had these smaller expansion type games. Some people like to call them DLC, but they are standalone games. Who's to say they don't do it again? With this one,
comes out the same year as Horizon?
Yeah, it could.
I think they do it just if they do it that way, it's just going to be one of those things they want to kind of put not really a nail in the coffin of Xbox, but they want to show that they're still a strong competitor or show that they're still the market leader with some of their biggest titles from the previous gen.
If they put out all three, if they get Miles, which they already got out, and then you got Horizon Zero Dawn coming out mid-year, and then you end the year with God of War, right? You've got the trifecta of three of their biggest IPs, all within a span of 1 year, and right at the beginning of launch. Now, yeah, they're cross-gen, all that kind of stuff. But the point being is they got their three main IPs out within that first year, and that puts them in a really good position because when people are walking into the stores to buy those consoles, which are going to be available starting late spring, early summer of this year, people are going to be looking at the game selection that's available. Some people go in with no decision made whether or not they're going to get an Xbox or PlayStation, right? They don't go in with that mindset. They go in and see, hey, what's going on? What's out right now? What do I really want to pick up with my next gen console? They're going to see, possibly two of those titles, and then towards holiday when the big time comes, right? Because that's what everybody's going to be marking on their calendar. This holiday, when these consoles are readily available, they're going to have all three of those titles sitting there waiting for people. I think it's a possibility.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Stag. Just kind of piggyback off of that, kind of where you're at. I mean, you play everything. I know you. Matter of fact, I think I already know how this is going to go. You have a Series X. And I don't think you found a PS5. No, you have a PS5 as well, don't you, Stan?
No, I canceled my pre-order for it.
Oh, that's right. You canceled your pre-order. Okay, so you haven't even moved on to the next generation yet. So I don't even know if this is applicable to you at this point. But just kind of
even played my Series X yet.
I know.
I hooked up. I've imported my account, but I'm still playing on my One X.
So. Yeah. So you play everything. So just kind of a general opinion.
I don't play stealth games.
Well, I mean, every system, you put PC, Xbox, hell, even, Nintendo as well. So, just kind of where you're at. I mean, unannounced
game. Where am I at? I'm probably like the complete opposite of everything that Pong just said, because like when he said Wolfenstein 3, I cringed a little bit. Like, look, I love the series. It's great. And he said like more God of War. Love the series. It's great. But I cringed a little bit, and what I want and what I say all the fucking time, and I know there's new systems out and it goes counterintuitive to being out in the market, people buying and brand recognition, buying IPs you're familiar with and extending those stories. I want new IPs. I want new games. I want new experiences. And I'm tired. I'm so upset. I think I've said this every fucking week. I am tired of them feeding off our nostalgia and making the same things over and over again. Granted, they're a little bit different stories. But hey, you know what? I never liked an Assassin's Creed game till Valhalla. So they got me, I guess, right? It worked. They keep eating that horse almost. But I don't know. I always want new IPs and I want new worlds and I want new experiences. So I hope that these unannounced titles that whoever in the industry has, they're gonna, at least one of them is a fucking new IP. just give me one. You guys can have your 20 other fucking
Starfield,
part 17s and part 3s and a new Call of Duty. Granted, I'm also the guy who loves Halo and Gears of War, and I'll fucking play the shit out of those. But that's a whole nother story. That's what I want. God damn it. But seriously, I just want new IPs. Like the rest of the stuff, I don't care about. And I do like the Wolfenstein series. I mean, it's a great series. I love those games. I mean, anytime I get to kill some Nazis, sign me the fuck up. But, I new IPs. That's where I'm at. That's what I want. And I know they're gonna come, but I just want I want these people to start taking more risks and stop playing it so safe with your heartstrings. So, all right. You know what? They're gonna hit. And they're gonna miss, but at least I'm not into medium. Sorry, and I can't do that scary shit, man.
And the one thing you guys need to know about Stag is that he's been consistent with that stance from day one. So that's not
my stream was only indies for the first 2.5 years.
Yeah,
so I'm a huge fan of indie games. I mean, Children of Morta is still one of my favorite games of all time. So. You give me more. I'm looking forward to 12 minutes. Whenever the hell that is, 12 minutes or 2 hours. Yeah, I still want that.
Yeah.
And I want them to give me my damn Biomutant for fuck's sake already.
Oh,
Jesus
Well, good luck
Christ.
with that. Your grandkids will have fun playing
My
that.
beard might actually turn gray before we get that game.
Absolutely.
So,
But anyway, let's go.
but yeah, I just hope we get some new IPs, man.
All right, well, let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion, man. Get your opinion on these unannounced games. I mean, Sony, Xbox, Nintendo, doesn't really matter. Just, 2021 is going to be a big year. A lot of stuff we don't know. Like you said, the calendar really is up in the air, and I think that's a big thing to take away from 2021 is that nothing's set in stone. Things can move around quite a bit. So just where you at on that, Centurion?
All right. So just like 2021 delayed a lot of games, 2020 delayed a lot of games. 2021, let's just say it delayed a lot of game announcements. We're going to see a lot of games get announced in 2021. I'm hoping as a result of some of these delays that these announcements be like, hey, this game's going to show up a lot sooner than you thought, because we just didn't announce it in time back then because we didn't think we were going to be able to pull it off, and we did. But I'm very curious about the stuff we don't know about. That is for sure. We see EA. I think the original topic was like what was going on with what EA supposedly coming out saying that there's some supposed games that we're going to have come out. We see Microsoft working very closely with EA. I don't see nothing exclusive becoming of it, but we all know how marketing rights work. Microsoft is going to be able to market a lot of what EA is producing. I hope the one rumor is true about a Battlefront 3. That's actually starting to pop up now. I guess what gave that the most darndest thing gave that rumor legs, and that was because they gave Battlefront 2 away for free on the Epic Game Store. So apparently when you give a game away for free, that means that they're obviously working on the sequel. But it just seems proper that we all know that DICE and EA have cooked up Battlefront games very quickly. The window is left open. We all know that technically EA is the only company that is still allowed to produce Star Wars games for the next 2 years. Everybody can hold on to what Ubisoft and other people are cooking up because that deal is not going to run out until 2023. We're just hearing rumors of stuff that's going to come out after 2023. EA is still the guys in control of that. And I think it was Jeff Grube, according to the article I've read, just said that there is a truth to the rumor. And he does expect that we are going to see EA continue the Battlefront and Jedi Fallen Order series even after other companies are going to also produce Star Wars games. Okay. We're seeing a lot of stuff come out of gaming, period. 2021 has me excited. How about this entire generation that we're getting ready to have kind of get going, because it's kind of stalled out right now. But this next coming generation is going to be probably a really good one for all of us gamers, and we're seeing significant growth in gaming. So I really, really hope this kind of changes people's opinions on gaming, period, because right now gaming is still seen as something regretfully, there's like an immaturity to it. When people hear you play games, they kind of look at you funny, like, oh, you must obviously, be immature or something. And it's like, no, I just enjoy playing games. And I really hope that the franchises that they bring in really help grow gaming and get more people to kind of bring down that stigma that just because you play a game makes you immature.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Get your opinion, man, on these unannounced games that we're hearing about. And, we hear about unannounced games every year. We really do. It's really not a year goes by that we don't hear about games that should have come out or was trash canned at the last minute, or, they got axed at the last minute, or whatever the case may be. So where you at, man, on just the noise about these games in 2021, especially knowing that the calendar's all over the place?
Well, I've read some tea leaves prior, but this was prior to EA getting into the mix. This was more so just based off of Brad Sams and Jez Corden talking about it. I'll agree with Pong. I figure Wolfenstein 3, it's a timing thing. You figure if they're announcing Indiana Jones, the other one's probably already wrapped up, so they can talk about their next project since the other one is kind of wrapped up. And then I thought of some left field things that we've heard some buzzing in the background before, and things kind of went silent. So, perfect example, we knew that there was a Dead Rising 5 in the works before Capcom closed down that studio in Canada. But at the time, the State of Decay studio was like 35 miles away from that studio after Microsoft had already acquired them, and they had lured some of the developers from there. Now, yes, the licensing for Dead Rising is still a Capcom-owned thing, but I could see a possible collaboration where you might see a State of Dead Rising. I know they announced State of Decay 3 as their upcoming game, but something in the meantime that could have been in the works from as far back as when Dead Rising 5 was canceled. Maybe a crossover between State of Decay and Dead Rising. So I have State of Dead Rising, collaboration as a potential one. I know it's an odd one, but wouldn't mind to see if that was like an unannounced game that's like a first party deal. Now, as far as third party deals, and we've also saw some more rumors pertaining to one of the original devs from Ninja Gaiden.
Yep, seen that recently too.
So and he had made mention of this back in 2017, and this was around the time when Phil was making numerous trips to Japan. And they had like a back and forth on Twitter about, oh yeah, that would be an awesome idea, and blah blah blah, and silence. It's like usually when things go silent afterwards, maybe the deal is already done and things have come of it, and it's just nose to the grindstone as far as getting that game done. So I would like to see possibly a Ninja Gaiden reboot or something along those lines as a unannounced game that maybe Xbox has exclusive rights to.
You know that, right? You said Ninja Gaiden reboot. You're breaking Stag's heart over there.
I know he wants to do
Don't worry, I stopped listening.
And I know he doesn't like stealth games, but we know some people have played a early build of this game, and Ubisoft has done a terrible job putting Sam Fisher in every damn game possible, but a Splinter Cell. God damn it. Give us a Splinter Cell. There was a time when Yves Guillaume
money. Make Splinter Cell and Fable.
There was a point when I think there was an interview back in 2017 range, I think it was. Yves Guillaume was saying something along the lines like they were working on it and it doesn't feel right for this generation. Well, that was based on, the Xbox One and the PS4. So now that we're stepping our, big toe into this new generation, why not have a Splinter Cell as one of those unannounced games? And then a long shot, and this was more so because of Mike Ibarra saying, oh, remember this guy when he was over at, I guess it was Cryotech Studio. I know they have some bad blood. I know that there was a deal to try to get that Dawn Showdown thing that didn't really catch on console. It was more of like a PC player's dream as far as like a PvP type thing or PvPE, whatever you want to call it. But I would like to see a Rise Son of Rome 2. I nicknamed it Fall of Athena just because if you could take the god powers that you have in Rise Son of Rome from like the arena stuff that you could do online and have that throughout the game, add horseback combat similar to what you saw in somewhat in Odyssey and stuff like that, I think that would be a good game as far as for them to announce or possibly release. But with it being EA into the mix, I could just see it being more so a marketing deal for, hold your breath, Titanfall 3. I know we haven't heard much of it. I know DICE isn't the studio that normally does it, but isn't Zimpella, isn't he in charge of DICE and what do you call him now?
I don't remember. I know his title got upgraded. So
Zimpella basically sits at the table with a lot of the executives at EA. That dude, that guy has so much pull. Like, he pretty much walked in the room and be like, you guys can take Frostbite and you can go put it in the corner over there with you guys. I'm going to take the engine that Fallen Order, what was it called again, Fuzzy?
Oh, Fallen Order. Was it Jedi Fallen
No,
Order?
but what engine did they use again?
Oh, Unreal.
Unreal Engine. I couldn't remember it. Yeah, I think it's really funny how he walked in there and was like, "I'm using Unreal Engine and I'm not using Frostbite." And he had, okay, no problem. So yeah.
But it'd be nice if we get like a marketing deal, or I doubt it's ever going to be an exclusive, but something like Battlefront 3 or Fallen Order 2 or Titanfall 3. I think is probably the biggest one that it was an exclusive for 1, multi-plat for 2. Why not make an exclusive for 3 and call it a day? But that's what I would like to see as far as unannounced games. I'm not going to even talk about Forza. I would like for them to do another Forza this year, but I would rather it be Motorsport over Horizon 5, but that's a whole nother animal on that one.
Okay. All right. Well, that will wrap up the show.
Well, can I ask one question?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
What does everybody think about, like, what about Microsoft swooping in and helping oh my God, I can't remember their damn name right now, but the developer doing Dying Light 2.
Techland.
Techland. Like, I think somebody needs to walk in there with like a checkbook and be like, you guys have a game already cooked up. You obviously need some help to finish it off. Like, let's make a deal.
No, I mean that's definitely not outside. Not outside. I mean, the game. I don't know how. Obviously, we know about the game, but it hasn't been like it's not an exclusive. We know
it's
that.
Not an exclusive. Yeah. But for me, I have a good friend that totally was not interested in State of Decay at all. The first game, I tried getting him into playing it, and he just was interested in it all. But the changes and the gameplay loop that they created for Dying Light 2, definitely he was like intrigued by it. He's like, I want to play this game. I don't know why, but he was also intrigued about the idea of how just the game would change as you played it and the factions reacted to the decisions you made in the game. And I really feel like they have a really unique thing going on over there that's regretfully, and I hate to, no pun intended, it's starting to decay.
Okay. Well, I mean, we'll have to wait and see, what happens with that. I mean, Techland's a phenomenal.
It's like Dying Light, and the light is dying on your game. Please get somebody to help you.
All right, well, that's that. We're gonna wrap things up on that. So once again, chat, we greatly appreciate you guys hanging out with us, man. So ran a little bit longer, but it's all good, man. We having a good conversation that tends to happen, but we definitely appreciate you guys. We're gonna go ahead and go around the panel here quickly. Let everybody go ahead and let you guys know where they're from. Once again, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We definitely appreciate you guys. So we'll see you next week, but we'll go around the panel first. So, Pong, we'll start with you. Thank you for being the newest member of the Shop Podcast. Always being here. It's been amazing so far. We're 3 shows in now.
Yep. 3 shows.
3 shows in. So, man, appreciate you here. But let everybody know where they can find you at, man.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you, as always. All of you guys, thank you for another incredible show. Love being here on Saturday nights and discussing gaming with you. Everybody brings a different perspective, and I love that. It's boring to hear everybody say the same thing over and over again. So appreciate you guys for that. Chat, awesome job out there, guys. Great to see you all in chat tonight. Thank you for all the support. You can find me on Twitter at Pong Soul. Obviously, same name. Otherwise, outside of this podcast, you can find me on Xbox Ultimate on Friday nights with Fun Speculation and his wife Caitlin, and 3-Bit and Assassin Lupa. We have a great time on that show. So find us there, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern. You can find me tomorrow. I will be on the Community Spotlight with Stubbs Gaming, and we're going to be one-on-one, and he's a great interviewer, so I can't wait. I'm really excited to see what we talk about because you never know where it's going to go with him. So that's tomorrow, Sunday, at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central. And then on Monday night, so this is going to be 4 days straight of me, I'm going to be on Mr. Boomstick's show, Double Barrel Gaming, Prime Time. I believe that is 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So he's got a great panel over there, big show. So I can't wait to be on there as well.
Awesome. Doing that book tour. It happens that way, man. When you
Yeah.
start doing this, it can happen that way, man. So,
Yep.
I'm gonna be on the show tomorrow. He hasn't put out the tweet yet, so I don't want to
Yeah.
announce it on the air. So I'll wait for that to happen. But I should be on the show as well tomorrow. But I
Nice.
will see hopefully by tomorrow. You guys will all know what show that will be. But appreciate you, Pong, every week, man. Been here. The last 3 weeks have been amazing. 4 weeks technically.
4 weeks technically. Yes.
So yeah, they've been amazing, and you add so much to the show, man. So thank you. Glad
Thank
you are part of the team now. So Stag, how you feeling, man? Let everybody know what's going on with you, where they can find you at, brother.
Man, I've only been here for like 50% of Pong's show. Like,
It's true. Yeah, like 2 of them.
Yeah. Some days not to show up, so trying to get fired, you won't do it. But,
no, man. No, you're not collecting unemployment off of me, boy. You crazy?
Damn it! I've been trying. I figured I'd get a check somewhere. But, and you'll find me nowhere but here Saturday nights, and then on stream Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. playing. Lately, we've just been doing a lot of marbles on the stream because it's freaking fun, and I can interact with the community a lot more. So, but yeah, that's about it. I haven't really been doing a lot lately, man. Not making any videos, so I'm keeping the trend alive.
Cool.
Wait, never mind.
Well, you guys go support Stag either way.
Okay, you don't need to support me. I got
no, fuck that. Go support Stag, man.
No. I have bad takes. It's okay.
I don't care. Go support Stag either way.
I'm good. I just having fun. So.
Go support Stag. Have some fun.
One last thing though. I mean, I know we already hit Anthem, but I miss our mac and cheese, man. He's been gone for a while.
Shout out to Chris, man. Shout out to Chris.
So long since he's been in chat being ridiculously wrong nonstop. I miss it.
Yeah, man. We're going to have to go find him. I don't know what happened, man. Hopefully he's
I just saw him on Twitter and gave him a mac and cheese gift. So.
Oh, nice. Sweet. All right. Well,
so he knows I didn't forget about him.
I didn't want to cut you off, Zach.
We're good. I'm just being ridiculous.
No, you're fine, bro. So shout out to Chris, man. You know who you are. We don't need to say anything else. You know you are.
Everybody knows who Chris is.
And then let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion, man. Let everybody know where they can find you at. What's been going on with you, brother?
Well, you guys can always find me on Xbox Live, YouTube, and Twitter at Centurion1307. I also do the TXR podcast every Sunday night with Invader and the great group of guys we got going on over there. But you can also find me right here on the Shop podcast every Saturday night. And I still have to go out and basically say thank you to PTK, Fuzzy, Stagger, and now even Pong for basically, showing up every week to let me kind of chew on their ear. It's been an absolute blast since the first time PTK asked me to be on this show. And definitely, I am glad that I landed here.
Appreciate it, man. We're all glad to have you here, brother.
You don't miss Salty's show?
Who? We're not doing that. We're not ending the show with that energy. Anyway.
That's what I do.
Moving on. But no, we appreciate
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. We appreciate you, Centurion, man. Thank you every week you're here, man. Awesome. So go follow him. Please support his channel, everything he's doing on YouTube as well as on Twitter. So shout out to you, Centurion. And last but not least, it's the part of the show where we smooth things out. We just relax now. It's just such a relaxing time. Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, take us away, brother.
Well, just want to thank everybody for coming out, listening to us and everything. And, it's always great talking games and our hobby and stuff like that. So, yeah, this is just like the highlight of the weekend, along with some gaming that we squeezed in here beforehand. But, yeah, you can always find me on Twitter, usually arguing with people over games and other, nonsensical things. But, man, it's always a pleasure to be here. Just look up Fuzzy_Belvedere on Twitter, PSN, or Fuzzy Space Belvedere on Xbox Live. Most of the time playing Forza, but now I'm playing, Torchlight 3?
Yeah, we all been playing that.
Yeah, so if you have Game Pass, download it. It's worth a try if you like, not really looter shooters, but like dungeon crawlers and stuff. Fun times. So that's all I got.
And last but not least, PTK Bland, man. So hit me up. Like I said, on Twitter, all of that information down in the description below. Please support the channel. Like I said, hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Hit me up on Xbox Live at PTK Blam as well. I appreciate you guys every single week. So next week, already got the guests lined up. So I'll let you guys know Monday or Tuesday who the special guest next week is going to be. We're going to have another amazing show. Same time, same place. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace out, everyone. We are out of here.
Later, guys.
Later.
Wash your